Hey, what's up guys? I'm Torvolderuz, and today I've got one of my personal favorites for you, the T5 Firestorm Ikitursa. I love this ship a lot. It's a lot of fun to fly. It's not the most efficient or the best ship for the Abyss, but it'll work. I know people will have problems with this with time. I've run so many sites with this thing and I've not had any issues. You just got to make sure you've got really good skills, got some damage increase drugs, and you're heating when you need to. But other than that, the tank on this thing is incredible. The capacitor holds up against a lot. So if you do this correctly, like I said, it's not the most efficient, but it runs Firestorms with ease, which typically are the hardest, yet the most profitable sites. So let me know what you think about it. Try it out. Drop a like, comment. Let me know if you have any concerns, and hopefully enjoy. And I'll see you in the Abyss. Here is the updated T5 Firestorm Ikitursa. This ship has been one of the easier ships I've used in the Abyss, despite the fact that it's not actually the best to use for the Abyss. The weapon system of the Ikitursa, where damage ramps up the more you stay on target, is actually a really bad weapon system for the Abyss. The biggest issue you'll encounter when farming with this ship is time, so don't be afraid to heat weapons and always bring Pyrolantia. Here's the fit. It's a nice, relatively cheap fit for T5 Abyssal farming that doesn't require any implant sets. However, I highly recommend using these various 3% implants. The only implant I'd say is 100% required is the Webifier implant. The other implants are just nice, cheap little bonuses to have. I'm considering changing this fit and actually using mid-grade Asclepian implants. That way I can swap around the lows and possibly use a third radiation sink to increase damage. However, this fit has worked just fine for me and I haven't died in time with it. There have been some close scenarios. The DPS shown is with Occult loaded and includes drone damage. I do have maxed out skills for Triglavian weapons, so be aware of that. The first encounter I wanted to show you is the Overmind battleship spawn. In T5s, this guy's a little tougher due to the fact that he does web, making it really hard to mitigate damage if you have to stay close range. Get Mystic loaded and start taking out the smaller NPCs while you make your way to Occult range, taking out high threat NPCs such as webs and plate forgers. Once you're within range, get Occult and your web on the battleship and maintain a nice close orbit to mitigate damage. The Overmind shouldn't apply very well even if you're webbed, so it should be an easy burn. This is a cool opportunity to check out how much damage you can ramp up to, which you'll see me ramp up to a maximum of 1,452 DPS during this engagement. Once you're in orbit with a web on and the Microwarpdrive going, you won't have any issues here and it's just a waiting game. This next encounter is a perfect example of why the Ikitursa isn't the best Abyssal option. All of these cruisers aren't an issue tank-wise, but because the initial low damage of the Ikitursa and the fact that you're not ramping up at all makes time the real issue here. Focus on newts first, followed by confusers. Also, set drones on a different target than what you're attacking with your guns because you'll ramp up damage every cycle with your guns, doing increased damage, and that'd be a waste if your drones are already damaging the NPCs. Watch your drones because Hammerhead's armor don't naturally regenerate, so once they start dipping into armor, be sure to pull them back. You do not want to accidentally lose your drones. They're extremely important for situations where there are a bunch of targets. While the DPS ramps up really high, the overall average makes the Ikitursa a bad choice for the Abyss. In many encounters, you come up against multiple small targets where you're jumping from target to target, and your damage on the Ikitursa doesn't go above 500 or 600 DPS in those encounters. Be sure to use drones as much as possible on small stuff and watch them so they don't die. This next encounter isn't tough unless you mess up. As you should know at this stage, these battlecruisers hit really hard if you let them get close. Something to pay attention to is the fact that you do have a reactive armor hardener and there are multiple different damage types. You'll want to kite these battlecruisers while using Mystic to kill a specific type of battlecruiser. Each battlecruiser's damage type is determined by their name. Spark is electric, Ember is thermal, Blast is explosive, and Strike is kinetic. What you want to do is kite and take out whatever damage type is most dangerous to you. A mistake that could be made here that could kill you is letting your reactive go all the way into one resistance type and then getting hit by a battlecruiser that does a different type of damage. Once you only have 3 or 4 battlecruisers with no more than 2 different damage types left, you're safe to go in with Occult and Brawl. You don't want to kite the entire encounter because of timing issues. Mystic damage output is much worse than Occult. Last encounter, the always infamous Karybdis Tyrannos. The goal here is to take out dangerous cruisers while making your way to Occult range on Karen. Start with Mystic and get rid of any NPCs that scrams, webs, or newts. Try your best to take a flight path that keeps these NPCs farther than 15 kilometers from you while making your way to Karen. Your goal is to be able to orbit Karen with your web on her and ramp up damage with Occult, so you'll want to kill as many cruisers as it takes to make sure that you can do that without being too slow or getting capped out. You'll want to get drones out on the cruisers while you're ramping up damage on Karen, but pay very close attention to drone health and aggro. That's the T5 Firestorm Ikitursa. This ship, even though it's not optimal for the Abyss, is a really entertaining farming ship. It feels really good to see 1400 plus DPS in those battleship encounters. On top of that, T5 Firestorms are the cheapest filament, which will net you the most profit, making this ship an ISK printer. Get out there and try it, and I'll see you in the Abyss.